Hi, I'm Drew. Welcome to the Beggars Woodshop. We're moving right along and a little more than halfway done. Now we're going to talk about sharpening, because sooner or later you're going to have to do that with your lathe chisels. That's coming up right here on the Beggars Woodshop. Come on inside.
This program has been made possible by contributions from our viewers. Thank you.
The lathe is why I got a Shopsmith. And I love it. But there's one problem. I never really learned how to sharpen. No. That was always the downside. I never learned to sharpen. I did it like once. Shopsmith, thank goodness, makes a sharpening jig for your chisels. At least your basic 5-piece chisel. I'm going to show you how to set it up and use it. But before you go anywhere, we got to talk about shop safety. Read the manuals that come with your power tools. The more you understand and follow those safety rules, less likely you are to cause personal injury either to yourself or someone else. Of course, the greatest protection you could take? Eye protection. You will be thankful the day it comes in handy. Let's just hope it never does. Alright, let me show you some of the setup as well as some of the sharpening. The setup is actually quite simple for this jig. Put it in the miter gauge. Tighten down. However, please remember, there is a spot at the top to allow you to adjust your angle left and right. I'm leaving mine at absolute 0, as is currently recommended. You may adjust yours depending on the tool angle you wish to accomplish. I also make sure the table is at a good distance from the sanding disc. Sometimes it's wise to bring the sanding disc up more than it is the table. I take a piece of wood, usually a thickness of 1x material, squared, covered in aluminum foil, or aluminium for those of you who say it differently. This is going to be made evident later of why we do this, but I put it on the tubes right there by the headstock. Okay, let's start with our parting tool. It has its slot, as you can see clearly, and we're going to sharpen both sides, one at a time. We want to make sure that the point is dead center to the line in the middle. You'll notice that on your tool that there is a spot in the middle. You want to keep low speed. In other words, turn on the machine, have it at its lowest speed, and you're done. There is no need to go any faster. If you have faster RPMs, even on a basic bench grinder, you're going to take off too much material. That's not good for a lathe chisel. Now we're going to do the skew located here in the middle. Again, it's going to be very similar. However, this is one of those times where we're going to end up using both sides of the gauge. Make sure when you do this, and you start on the left side, the tip is pointed down. Then when you sharpen the opposite side, it will be against the opposite side of the jig, and then sharpen. Don't make your sharpening aggressive. Gently bring the tool and the sanding disc together. Okay, let's do the larger gouge. Frontmost slot. This is where it gets a little tricky for me. Bring it up so that the dip in the gouge is actually facing directly out. That'll help you kind of figure out where that area is. When you turn on the machine, have the dip so that you and the dip are facing if you look over the gouge from the top. Then, rotate. Use your fingers to help hold it into place. rotating it practically all the way around. You can see how much rotation's got to be done here. Be careful not to get your hand too close. You can see that in some of these images. I'm trying not to get my hand in a certain place to get hit by the disc. It will hurt. It will leave a mark. Please, be careful. Better demonstrations of this are actually done at my growth rings here on YouTube. I'm kind of poor at some of this. But like I said, I've never sharpened before. By the way, here's the reason why we need the foil. See? All this black stuff getting all over. Some of it got on the machine, but it's going to be an easy cleanup, but it's going to leave more problems for you on your bench tubes and your machine later if you don't practice this. Alright, let's do the smaller gouge. Again, similar, just a little bit smaller. Now let's do the scraper. This is a little bit different setup. First off, we have to rotate the gauge around. It's going to be the opposite side. Next, keep that adjustment guide for the angle at 0 degrees. When you're adjusting the height, you don't want to be too high or too low for these machines. So roughly about 9 o'clock, in some cases you can come up a little bit higher because you want to try to get as close as you can towards the middle of the disc and the outside of the disc, so right in between. You'll note there's a spot that sticks out, a little hole. That's also used for sharpening your shapers and router bits that Shopsmith would sell. I'm not recommending this. Some people like to cut it off. There has been at least one demonstration of this, but again, I'm not recommending it. You'll note too that this chisel is upside down. That's okay. Make sure that the joint that holds this rotating piece is not too loose. Looking back at this footage, I don't think I've really explained and shown this jig the best way possible. There are better videos out there that I think can show it, so my apologies. On top of that, I don't really have any sharpening experience. This was actually the first time I did it. So, take that as you will. I'm not going to demonstrate these tools in use because they are mostly spindle tools, and I learned mostly bowl work, not really any spindle work. So, again, this is not my best. But, with all that out of the way, let me show you what we're going to work on next time. I show you the cleanup and setup of a Shopsmith molding head. And that's next time, right here on the Beggars Woodshop.